Captain Kim Tae-ho was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming across the deep space monitoring station. The sound made everyone jump and spill their drinks. The coffee was still hot on his uniform when he ran to the main control room. The massive screen was flashing red with warning messages. Dr. Park So-min was already at her station typing commands as fast as her fingers could move. Her face was pale and her hands were shaking. Something big was happening, and it scared her. Got something from Vega system? She called out to Captain Kim. The signal is strong, really strong, and it's not natural. This is definitely artificial. Someone or something sent this to us. Captain Kim walked closer to the screen. The numbers and waves looked strange. Nothing like the radio signals Earth sent into space. This was different, organized, and purposeful, like someone was trying to talk to them. How far is Vega system, he asked, even though he already knew the answer. 25 light years. Away, Dr. Park replied without looking up from her computer. That means whoever sent this signal did it 25 years ago. They knew about us before we even had this technology. The thought made everyone in the room go quiet. 25 years ago. Earth barely had space stations. Now someone was saying they had been watching Earth for decades, maybe longer. Dr. Park worked for 3 hours trying to understand the alien message. Her computer programs ran thousands of calculations. The signal had patterns like a language. But it was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Captain Kim called Earth headquarters on the emergency channel. Admiral Lee Dong-wook answered immediately. His face appeared on the screen looking serious. What do you have? For me, Captain Kim, he asked. We intercepted an alien transmission from Vega system. Captain Kim replied, It's definitely not natural, and Dr. Park thinks it's some kind of message. Admiral Lee went silent for a long moment. Then he leaned forward in his chair. Send me everything you have right now. This goes to the highest level of government. While they waited for more instructions, Dr. Park made a breakthrough in decoding the message. She called Captain Kim over to her station with excitement and fear in her voice. I figured out part of it, she said, pointing at her screen. These numbers here, they are coordinates. What kind of coordinates? Captain Kim asked. Earth coordinates. She whispered. Our solar system, our planet, everything the message contains. Detailed information about Earth. Captain Kim felt his blood turn cold. Someone had been watching them. Someone knew exactly where Earth was and had detailed information about their world. Dr. Park continued working, and each new discovery made things worse. The alien message contained information about Earth's military bases, population centers, and defense systems. It was like someone had been studying Earth for years. Then Dr. Park found the worst part of the message. She called it over the intercom, so everyone could hear. Her voice was shaking when she spoke. The message has a countdown, she announced. 7 solar rotations. That means 7 days. They are giving us 7 days for something. 7 days for what Captain Kim demanded. Dr. Park looked at the screen again, trying to make sure she understood correctly. The message says, we have 7 days to surrender, or they will destroy our entire planet. The control room went completely silent. Everyone stopped what they were doing. The coffee machines stopped bubbling. The computers seemed quieter. Even the air conditioning sounded different. Captain Kim grabbed the emergency communication device and called Admiral Lee again. This time, he did not wait for permission to speak. Admiral, we have a situation. The alien message is a threat. They want Earth to surrender in 7 days, or they will attack us. Admiral Lee stood up so fast, his chair fell backward. Get me President Chen on the line. Right now, he shouted to someone off screen, and call every military leader on the planet. This is no longer just a science problem. Within 2 hours, every major leader on Earth knew about the alien message. The Global Defense Council held an emergency meeting in the underground bunkers of Geneva. Representatives from every country flew in on the fastest jets available. The meeting room was tense. Everyone had read the translated message. Everyone understood what it meant. Earth was no longer alone in the universe, and their new neighbors wanted them dead. The aliens called themselves the Caleth Empire. Their message explained that humans had broken some ancient galactic law by leaving their home planet. The punishment for this crime was complete extinction. Dr. Choi Hyun-woo stood up to address the council. He was Earth's best military strategist, and everyone listened when he spoke. The Caleth message contains technical information about their ships and weapons. He explained they have faster-than-light travel energy shields and plasma weapons. We are completely outmatched in terms of technology. Then how do we fight them? Asked President Chen. We don't fight them here, Dr. Choi replied. We take the fight to them. The room erupted in arguments. Some leaders thought surrender was the only option. Others wanted to fight, but did not see how Earth could win against such advanced technology. Dr. Choi raised his hand for silence and continued speaking. We have been developing faster-than-light travel for 20 years. The technology is dangerous and untested, but it works. We can build ships and we can reach their home system. You want us to attack aliens in their own territory? President Chen asked. Dr. Choi nodded firmly. If we wait here, they will come with overwhelming force. But if we strike first while they think we are helpless, we might have a chance. The debate continued for hours, but eventually everyone agreed. Earth would not surrender without a fight. They would build the largest space fleet in human history and take the war to the Caleth Empire captain. Kim received orders to return to Earth immediately. His deep space station would become a communication relay for the war effort. Dr. Park would lead a team of scientists trying to learn more about Caleth technology as their shuttle flew toward Earth. Captain Kim looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, an alien empire was preparing to destroy his home. But humans had never been good at accepting defeat. The next 7 days would determine if humanity would survive to see the stars, or if Earth would become another dead world in the Caleth Empire. Dr. Park sat beside him reading through the alien message again, looking for any weakness they could exploit. We are going to need a miracle, she said quietly. Captain Kim smiled grimly. Then we better start making one. The war for human survival was about to begin, and Earth had 7 days to prepare for the greatest battle in their history. The Caleth Empire had made one crucial mistake. They had given humanity time to prepare, and humans were very good at making the most of limited time. Every factory on Earth would soon be building weapons. Every scientist would be working on new technology. Every person would contribute to the war effort because failure meant extinction. For their entire species, the countdown had begun, and humanity would show the galaxy what happened when someone threatened their home. Captain Yoon Ji-hae had never seen Luna City so busy. The moon base looked like a giant ant hill, with thousands of workers moving in every direction. Welding sparks lit up the dark side of the moon like tiny stars. Ships were being built faster than anyone thought possible. The construction yards that normally built 1 ship per month were now building 10 ships per week. Engineer Bang Min-ho had designed something amazing. His modular ship system meant that different parts could be built on Earth, Mars, and the asteroid belt at the same time. We are not just building ships, Bang Min-ho explained to the construction teams. We are building hope. Each ship carries the dreams of 10 billion people who want to see tomorrow. The workers came. From every country on Earth, Chinese welders worked beside American engineers, Russian pilots trained with Brazilian mechanics. The alien threat had done something no politician ever could. It had united humanity completely. Dr. Lim Yoonji worked in the secret research labs deep under Seoul. Her team had made an incredible discovery. The Caleth signal contained more than just threats. It had technical information about their own ships and weapons. Look at this, she told her assistant while pointing at computer screens. The aliens are showing off. They want us to know how powerful they are. But they also showed us their weaknesses. The Kaleth ships used energy shields that could stop plasma weapons, but kinetic rounds might punch right through. Their hulls were light and fast, but also brittle. Human railguns and missile systems might actually work against them. This information spread to every shipyard on Earth. The new human warships were designed specifically to fight Kaleth technology. Heavy armor, kinetic weapons, and nuclear missiles became the standard for every vessel commander. Oh Seung-ho trained pilots in the combat simulators on Mars. The new generation of space fighters required skills no human had ever needed before 3-dimensional thinking in zero-gravity combat at light speed. Most of these pilots will die in the first battle, Commander Oh told his training staff. But the ones who survive will become the greatest warriors humanity has ever produced. The pilots knew the odds. Many would not return from the war against the Kaleth Empire. But they volunteered anyway. Young men and women from every nation on Earth wanted to defend their home world. Meanwhile, scientist Kang Yu-na made perhaps the most important discovery of the entire war effort. The Kaleth signal used quantum encryption keys. By studying these patterns, Earth could track alien communications. We can listen to their radio chatter, Kang Yu-na explained to the military commanders. We might be able to predict their movements and plan our attacks accordingly. The construction project grew larger every day. Asteroid miners worked 20-hour shifts to gather raw materials. Factory workers on Earth built weapons systems around the clock. Children in schools collected scrap metal for the war effort. Every human being contributed something to the fleet construction project. Grandmothers knitted clothing for space crews. Farmers grew extra food for the long journey to Vega system. Artists painted names and symbols on ship hulls for good luck. The ships themselves were works of art. Each one represented the best of human engineering and the combined knowledge of every culture on Earth. The dreadnoughts were massive floating cities armed with enough firepower to level mountains. The destroyers were fast and deadly, designed to hunt enemy ships through asteroid fields. The fighters were small but incredibly agile, capable of dancing between enemy weapons while delivering precise strikes. As the deadline approached, the fleet began to take shape in orbit around Earth. 1,000 ships of various sizes and capabilities, the largest space armada in human history, was ready for war. Admiral Hong Jae-sung would command the fleet from the flagship Indomitable. The massive battleship contained the most advanced technology Earth had ever produced. Its main guns could fire projectiles at nearly light speed. The crews said goodbye to their families, knowing many would never return. There was no sadness in these farewells, only determination. Every person understood what was at stake. If the fleet failed, Earth would die. Captain Bae Soo-jin commanded the stealth ships that would scout ahead of the main fleet. Her vessels were coated in experimental materials that bent light and radio waves around them. They would be humanity's eyes and ears in enemy territory. Dr. Moon Yoon-soo had developed new communication systems that could work across interstellar distances. The fleet would stay in contact with Earth no matter how far they traveled into space. The final preparations took place in the shadow of Earth. Weapons were loaded, fuel tanks were filled, and crew members took their final medical examinations. Everyone was as ready as they could be for a war against unknown enemies. The day of departure arrived sooner than anyone wanted. Families gathered at viewing stations to watch the fleet depart. Children pressed their faces against windows pointing at the ships that carried their parents and siblings. Admiral Hong stood on the bridge of the Indomitable looking at the 1,000 ships under his command. Each vessel represented months of work by thousands of people. They carried the hopes and dreams of an entire planet. Fleet commanders held their final briefing. Everyone knew their part in the battle plan. The main force would engage the Kaleth fleet directly, while smaller groups attacked their supply lines and command ships. "We are not just fighting for Earth," Admiral Hong told his captains. "We are fighting for the right of humanity to exist in this galaxy." The Kaleth think they can erase us from history. They are about to learn how wrong they are. The departure sequence began slowly. Each ship fired its engines in a carefully planned order. The fleet had to leave Earth orbit without creating dangerous gravitational effects or damaging the space stations. As the ships accelerated toward the edge of the solar system, people on Earth watched through telescopes and satellites. The fleet looked like a river of stars flowing away from their home world. The faster-than-light drives had never been tested with so many ships at once. Scientists worried that the quantum fields might interfere with each other. But there was no choice. The fleet had to reach Vega's system before the Kaleth deadline. Captain Kim Tae-ho watched from the Deep Space Monitoring Station as the fleet prepared for their first jump into hyperspace. The same station that had detected the alien threat was now watching humanity's response. The jump coordinates were set for a point just outside the Vega system. The fleet would arrive in enemy territory and immediately begin combat operations. There would be no time for rest or preparation. As the countdown reached 1,000 human ships disappeared in flashes of light. The greatest military force in human history had begun its journey to war. The fate of Earth now rested with Admiral Hong and his brave crews back. On Earth, the waiting began. Every person on the planet knew that their survival depended on the success of the fleet. The next few weeks would determine if humanity had a future among the stars. The construction yards fell silent for the first time. In months, the workers had done their job. Now it was up to the warriors they had equipped to win the war against the Kaleth Empire. Admiral Hong Jae-sung gripped the railings on the bridge as the Indomitable prepared for the jump to hyperspace. Around him, 1,000 human warships waited for the signal that would take them 25 light years from home. The experimental, faster-than-light drives hummed with dangerous energy. No one knew if the ships would survive the journey or if they would arrive scattered across the galaxy. The margin for error was almost zero. Communications. Officer Nam Hye-won coordinated the jump sequence from her station. Each ship had to enter hyperspace within seconds of each other. A single mistake could send vessels spinning into the void between stars. Ready for jump, Admiral Nam Hye-won reported. All ships confirm green status 4. Hyperspace transition. Admiral Hong took a deep breath. Execute jump sequence, he ordered. Reality twisted around the human fleet as they crossed into hyperspace. Space and time bent in ways that hurt to think about. The ship hulls groaned under stresses that should have torn them apart. Crew members collapsed at their stations as their brains tried to process impossible geometry. Some people screamed, others threw up. The lucky ones just passed out until the worst effects ended. The jump lasted 23 days, but felt like 23 years. Time moved differently in hyperspace. Minutes stretched into hours. Hours compressed into seconds. The human mind was not designed for travel between dimensions. When the fleet finally emerged into normal space, they found themselves in a war zone. The Vega system was full of alien activity. Mining stations orbited dead planets. Massive factories built weapons in the darkness between worlds. Captain Bae Soo-jin commanded the stealth reconnaissance ships. Her vessels immediately went silent and activated their experimental cloaking systems. The metamaterial coatings bent light around the ships, making them nearly invisible. What she discovered through her sensors was both terrifying and encouraging. The Kaleth Empire had turned the entire Vega system into a military-industrial complex, but their forces were spread thin across multiple planets. We count at least 300 alien warships, Bae Soo-jin reported to Admiral Hong. They have mining, operations on 7 planets, and what looks like a major command facility on the 4th planet. The Kaleth had made a crucial tactical error. They had assumed humanity would wait on Earth for destruction. Instead, the human fleet had appeared in their home system, completely surprising the alien defenders. The reconnaissance missions revealed important information about Kaleth society. Their military operated on strict hierarchical principles. All orders came from Central Command ships. If those vessels were destroyed, the entire fleet would lose coordination. Admiral Hong called a meeting of his ship captains aboard the Indomitable. The holographic display showed the Vega system with Caleth positions marked in red and human forces shown in blue. "We have the element of surprise," Admiral Hong explained to his commanders. "The aliens were not expecting us to bring the fight to them. We need to use this advantage before they can organize their defenses, Captain." Li Junghai studied the tactical display. Her heavy cruiser squadron would spearhead the attack on the Caleth command vessels. The mission was essentially a suicide run, but someone had to do it. The plan they developed was complex and dangerous. The main fleet would engage Caleth battle groups in 3 different locations simultaneously. This would force the aliens to divide their attention and resources. While the main battles raged, a strike force would punch through the enemy lines to attack the command ship. The timing had to be perfect. If the strike force arrived too early, they would face the entire Caleth fleet alone. Lieutenant Xin Wu-jin worked in the electronic warfare section, studying captured Caleth communication signals. He discovered that the aliens used quantum frequencies to coordinate their fleet movements. "If we can jam those frequencies," Xin Wu-jin explained, "the entire enemy fleet will lose coordination. Their ships will not be able to work together effectively." Dr. Ryu Hae-young began modifying the Indomitable communication array into a massive jamming device. The work was dangerous and would destroy the array after one use, but it might give humanity the tactical advantage they needed as the human fleet prepared for battle. They received an unexpected message from Earth. The transmission had been sent weeks ago, but was just reaching them across the vast distances of space. "People of Earth are watching and believing," the message said. "Your families are proud of you. The entire planet is counting on your success. Do not let them down." The words gave the crews new determination. They had traveled further from home than any human in history. They faced an enemy with superior technology and numbers, but they carried the hopes of 10 billion people. The battle plan was distributed to every ship in the fleet. Each captain knew their role in the coming fight. Some would engage the main Caleth forces. Others would protect the strike teams. Several ships would certainly be destroyed. Admiral Hong made a final inspection of his flagship. The Indomitable was humanity's greatest achievement in space engineering. Its weapons could destroy enemy capital ships. Its armor could withstand plasma bombardments. Its crew was ready for war. The countdown to battle began. Weapon systems powered up. Shields activated, fighters launched from carrier bays. The human fleet spread out across space, preparing to engage an alien empire that had conquered dozens of worlds in a few hours. They would discover if humanity could fight and win against superior alien technology. The fate of Earth rested on the courage of 1,000 ships and their crews. The Caleth Empire was about to learn that humanity did not surrender easily when threatened humans became the most dangerous species in the galaxy. They would fight with everything they had to protect their home. Captain Bei Su-jin sent her final reconnaissance report. The Caleth fleet was moving to intercept them. Battle would begin soon. There was no turning back now. The war for human survival was about to start, Admiral. Hong stood on his bridge, looking at the alien ships approaching on his display screens. Soon, the silence of space would be filled with weapons fire and explosions. One way or another, the Battle of Vega system would decide humanity's future among the stars. The first shots of the war came from Commander Kwon Do-hyun destroyer squadron at the edge of Vega system. His ships opened fire on Caleth patrol vessels with railgun rounds that moved at incredible speeds. The alien plasma weapons lit up space with deadly energy, but human kinetic rounds punched through their shields like they were made of paper. The Caleth had never faced weapons that relied on pure physical force instead of energy. "This is Commander Kwon to all ships," Kwon Do-hyun reported. Over the fleet communications, their shields cannot stop our railgun rounds. Focus on kinetic weapons and ignore their energy defenses. The Kaleth response was swift and overwhelming. Hundreds of their warships converged on the human fleet from 3 directions. Their plasma cannons could vaporize human destroyers with direct hits, but humanity had prepared for this moment. They had studied every Kaleth weakness and planned for every possible battle scenario. The alien empire was about to discover that humans were very good at War Captain Song. Mi-young led the fighter wings in their desperate attack on Kaleth capital ships. Human pilots trained in the brutal combat simulators of Mars proved superior to alien drone fighters, where the Kaleth relied on programmed responses. Humans adapted and improvised. Every human pilot was an individual who could think and react differently. This unpredictability confused the alien targeting systems. The battle spread across the entire star system. Human dreadnoughts traded devastating volleys with Kaleth battle cruisers, space filled with debris plasma and the twisted wreckage of both fleets. Neither side was willing to give ground. The Kaleth fought to protect their industrial complex. The humans fought for the survival of their entire species. The intensity of combat was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. In the chaos of battle, Lieutenant Shin Woo-jin made a crucial discovery while monitoring alien communications. The Kaleth command signals were transmitted on a specific quantum frequency. "If we can jam that frequency," Shin Woo-jin shouted over the noise of battle alarms, "the entire enemy fleet will lose coordination. They will not be able to work together." Dr. Ryu Hae-young worked frantically in the indomitable electronics lab to modify the ship communication array into a massive jamming device. The work was dangerous and would destroy the array after one use. The modification took 2 hours while battle raged around them. Human ships were being destroyed faster than their crews could abandon them. But Dr. Ryu continued working. Knowing that success might turn the tide of war, Admiral Hong coordinated the fleet from his command center, watching as red dots disappeared. From his tactical display, each red dot was a human ship with hundreds of crew members aboard. "We are losing too many ships," Admiral Hong told his staff. "If we cannot change the balance soon, we will have to retreat." Just then, Dr. Ryu reported that the jamming device was ready. The massive communication array had been turned into a weapon that could disrupt Kaleth command frequencies across the entire star system. "Activate jamming sequence," Admiral Hong ordered. The effect was immediate and spectacular. Kaleth ships began firing on each other as their targeting systems became confused by the quantum interference. Entire squadrons turned against their own forces. The alien fleet fell into complete chaos as their central command lost control over individual ships. Some Kaleth vessels stopped moving entirely. Others spun out of control, firing randomly at anything nearby. Admiral Hong seized the moment. "All ships, this is Admiral Hong. The enemy fleet is in chaos. Strike force, proceed to primary. Target. All other vessels continue the attack." Captain Lee Jung-hai led the strike force through the confused enemy lines toward the Kaleth command ship. Her heavy cruiser squadron carved a path through alien vessels that were too confused to coordinate their defense. The Kaleth command vessel was enormous, more space station than ship. It bristled with weapons that could destroy human capital ships with single shots. Its armor was thicker than anything humanity had ever built, but the human strike force had not come this far to be stopped by superior technology. They had traveled 25 light years to save their home world. Nothing would stop them now. The assault on the command ship became a race against time. The Kaleth were slowly regaining control of their fleet as backup communication systems came online. The window of opportunity was closing. Fast Captain Lee Jung-hai's ships took devastating damage as they approached the alien command vessel. The Determination lost its main gun. The Resilience vented atmosphere from multiple hull breaches, but they pressed forward. Human crews working damage control kept their ships fighting, even when systems failed around them. The determination to protect Earth drove them beyond normal human limits. The command ship defenses were incredibly strong. Its point defense systems destroyed dozens of human fighters and missiles, but humanity had brought overwhelming numbers to the attack wave after wave of human assault craft battered the alien. Command vessel nuclear warheads detonated against its hull, railgun rounds punched craters in its armor, plasma torpedoes melted through its outer defenses. Finally, the human assault broke through. Captain Park, Tae-young led Marine boarding parties into the alien vessel through holes torn in its hull by human weapons. The interior of the Caleth command ship was like nothing humans had ever seen. Corridors twisted through impossible dimensions. Gravity changed direction randomly. The very geometry hurt to look at. Commander Park Tae-young Marines fought their way through alien defenders toward the command center. Human soldiers armed with kinetic weapons proved effective against Caleth energy shields. The aliens themselves were horrifying to see. They moved like liquid metal, constantly changing shape. Their weapons were extensions of their own bodies rather than separate tools, but human Marines had trained for urban combat in the worst conditions on Earth. They adapted quickly to the alien environment, using teamwork and superior tactics to overcome individual alien warriors. The final push to the command center cost many human lives, but Captain Park Marines pressed forward, knowing that the fate of Earth depended on their success. In this alien nightmare, as they fought deeper into the command ship, they discovered something that changed everything. The Caleth were not the original builders of these vessels. They were parasites that had consumed the real creators. This discovery would change how humanity viewed the war. But for now, there was only the immediate battle. The command center lay ahead, and with it, the chance to cripple the entire Caleth fleet. The battle for the Vega system hung in the balance. Human courage and determination against alien technology in numbers, the outcome would decide whether Earth lived or died. Captain Lee Jung-hai's strike force fought through waves of alien defenders as they approached the Caleth command ship. The determination had lost its main gun, and the resilience was venting atmosphere, but they pressed forward every meter toward. The command ship cost human lives. The alien defensive systems were beyond anything Earth military had imagined. Plasma barriers that could melt human armor, energy fields that disrupted electronics, but human determination proved stronger than alien. Technology Captain Lee Jung-hai crews worked miracles to keep their damaged ship's fighting systems that should have failed, continued working through pure human stubbornness. Commander Park Tae-young led the Marine boarding parties as they fought. Through the alien command ship corridors, the Caleth vessel was a nightmare of twisted passages and impossible geometry. The Marines discovered something horrifying as they advanced deeper into the ship. The Caleth were not the original builders of this technology. They were parasites, creatures that consumed other species. Dr. John Sora accompanied the boarding force to study alien technology. What she found made her sick. The command ship contained artifacts from dozens of different civilizations. All of them were now extinct. These creatures have done this before. Dr. Jian reported over the communication system. They find civilizations, destroy them, and steal their technology. Earth is just their latest target. The Marines found trophy rooms filled. With artifacts from dead worlds, entire species had been wiped out, so the Caleth could add their knowledge to the parasite collective. The galaxy was full of empty worlds, but humans proved different from previous Caleth victims. Where other species had fought defensively, humanity had brought the war to the enemy. Where others relied on superior technology, humans used creativity. The alien command center was the most disturbing place any human had ever seen. Organic technology pulsed with stolen knowledge from 47 different species. The walls seemed alive and aware. Captain No Min-ki led the final assault on the command center. His Marine squad had suffered terrible losses, but they had come too far to fail their families on Earth. We're counting on them. The battle for the command center lasted 3 hours. Human soldiers vastly outnumbered fought with desperation that surprised even themselves. They were not just fighting for victory, but for survival. The Caleth Prime sat in the center of the command chamber. It was so alien that looking directly at it caused disorientation. The creature communicated through thoughts, projecting images of Earth destruction. But humanity had learned to fight on multiple levels. While Marines battled alien defenders, engineer Ko Hye-jin studied the command ship systems looking for weaknesses. The Caleth technology was incredibly advanced, but it had one fatal flaw. It was vulnerable to a specific type of electromagnetic pulse. The aliens had never encountered a species capable of generating such interference. "We can shut down their entire system," Ko Hye-jin shouted over the sound of weapons fire. "But we need to get close to the main power core, Captain. No Minki squad fought there." Way through the final alien defenses toward the power core. The Caleth threw everything they had at the human Marines. Energy weapons, bio-weapons, even physical attacks. The human soldiers held their ground using tactics learned in Earth War's covering. Fire-coordinated movement and absolute refusal to retreat. The Caleth had never faced anything like human military determination. Engineer Ko Hye-jin reached the power core and began setting up her electromagnetic pulse device. The work was complex and dangerous. One mistake would kill everyone in the command center. The Caleth realized what the humans were attempting and launched a final desperate attack. Alien warriors flowed through the corridors like liquid metal trying to stop the human. Sabotage effort Captain No Min-ki Marines formed a defensive perimeter around Engineer Ko as she worked. Human soldiers fell one by one, but they held their positions. Every second bought with blood was precious. Finally, the electromagnetic pulse device was ready. Ko Hye-jin looked at Captain No and nodded. "This will shut down everything, including our own equipment. We will be trapped here." "Do it," Captain No ordered without hesitation. The pulse activated and every system in the command ship went dark. The organic technology stopped pulsing. The alien defenses fell silent. Even the artificial gravity failed. Across the Vega system, the effect was immediate. The entire Caleth fleet lost coordination as their command network collapsed. Ships that had fought with perfect unity suddenly found themselves isolated. Human forces pressed their advantage, attacking confused alien vessels that could no longer communicate with each other. The tide of battle turned decisively in humanity. Favor Admiral Hong watched from the indomitable bridge as Caleth ships began surrendering or fleeing the system. The parasite empire that had consumed 47 civilizations was finally defeated. But victory came at a terrible cost. Of the 1,000 ships that had left Earth, fewer than 300 remained combat-ready. The human fleet was scattered and damaged. The rescue operations began immediately. Commander An Yu-jin coordinated search and rescue missions looking for survivors in the wreckage. Human crews had fought so hard that many continued fighting even after their ships were destroyed. Captain Park Tae-young Marines were extracted from the alien command ship along with engineer Ko Hye-jin and the survivors of Captain No squad. They had accomplished the impossible. The captured Caleth data revealed the true scope of what humanity had faced. The Parasite Collective had been growing stronger for over 1,000 years. Each conquered civilization added to their power. Dr. Moon Yun-soo studied the alien biotechnology and made disturbing discoveries. The Caleth were not evil in any human sense. They were following their nature, but that nature had brought them into conflict with humanity as the human fleet prepared for the journey. Home, they received messages from Earth. The planet had detected the battle end through quantum fluctuations in space-time. Earth was celebrating, but the returning warriors knew this was not the end. The Caleth had been just one branch of a larger infection somewhere in the galaxy. Other parasite fleets were consuming other civilizations. Admiral Hong filed his final battle report. Human casualties were severe, but they had achieved their primary objective. The immediate threat to Earth was eliminated. The journey home would be longer than the trip out. Many ships barely held together, their crews working constantly to maintain life support. But human determination carried them through the darkness. Captain Kim Hyun-jung now commanding. The survivors of the strike force made a sobering observation to Admiral Hong. The technology they had captured would advance human civilization by centuries, but it would also mark Earth as a threat to any remaining Kaleth forces humanity had announced. Their presence to the galaxy in the most violent way possible. When Earth finally appeared on their sensors, the surviving crews wept openly. They had left as uncertain explorers. They returned as the galaxy's newest apex predators forever changed by war. The 1,000 ships had become 300, but those 300 carried something precious. Proof that humanity could face the darkness and emerge victorious. Admiral Hong's final log entry summarized their achievement. We went to the stars. As explorers and returned as warriors, the galaxy may be hostile, but it belongs to those brave enough to claim it. The silence after battle was deafening. Admiral Hong Jae-sung stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the wreckage of 2 fleets scattered across the Vega system. Humanity had won, but the cost was terrible. Of the 1,000 ships that had left Earth, only 300 remained capable of making the journey home. The rest were destroyed, damaged beyond repair, or drifting in space with no power commander. An Yu-jin worked around the clock, coordinating rescue operations. Her teams searched. Through debris fields looking for survivors, human crews had fought with such determination that many survived impossible situations. The search and rescue ships found amazing stories of survival. Engineer Bang Min-ho had kept his destroyer running for 6 hours after it lost main power. Using spare parts and creativity, he saved his entire crew. Captain Song Mi-young fighter squadron had been completely destroyed, but half her pilots were found alive in escape pods floating in the asteroid belt. They had ejected at the last second before their ships exploded. Every rescue was a small victory against the darkness of space. Every survivor represented hope for the families waiting on Earth. The human spirit proved stronger than alien weapons. The captured Kaleth database revealed information that changed everything humanity thought about the galaxy. The parasites had consumed 47 different civilizations over the past 1,000 years. Each conquest had made them stronger as they absorbed new technologies and tactics. Earth would have been civilization number 48, but humanity had refused to be victims. Dr. Moon Yun-soo studied the alien biotechnology in the captured command ship. What she discovered was both fascinating and disturbing. The Kaleth technology could advance human science by centuries, but the knowledge came with a terrible responsibility. The galaxy was full of empty worlds where entire species had been consumed. Billions of sentient beings had died to feed. The Kaleth collective captain Kim Hyun-jung now commanded what remained of the strike force. She reported to Admiral Hong that the victory had painted a target on humanity. The galaxy would never ignore Earth again. We are no longer a hidden species, Captain Kim explained. Other alien civilizations will learn about our victory. Some will want to be our allies. Others will see us as a threat to be eliminated. The journey home took longer than the trip to Vega. Many ships were held together by determination and spare parts. Their crews performed miracles of engineering to keep life support systems working. Captain Bae Soo-jin's stealth ships scouted ahead of the main fleet, watching for any signs of alien activity. The galaxy suddenly seemed much more dangerous now that humanity knew they were not alone. The communication with Earth was sporadic due to damaged equipment, but the messages that got through were full of hope. The planet celebrated the fleet victory while mourning their losses. Families gathered at memorial services for crew members who would never return home. Children asked when their parents would come back from the stars. Adults tried to explain the cost of survival. President Chen addressed the planet in a broadcast that reached every human settlement. Earth owes a debt to the brave souls who carried our hopes to the stars. Their sacrifice saved our entire species. The fleet made several stops to repair critical systems. Asteroid bases that had been built during the construction phase now served as way stations for the returning warriors. Each repair stop revealed new problems. Some ships had radiation damage from alien weapons. Others had structural failures that threatened to tear them apart. But somehow, they held together. Dr. Lim Yunji worked with the captured Caleth technology, trying to understand how the parasites had managed to consume so many civilizations. The answer was terrifying in its simplicity. The Caleth always attacked when their targets were divided by internal conflicts. They waited for civilizations to weaken themselves through war, poverty, or social collapse. Then they struck. But humanity had done something unprecedented. They had united in the face of alien threat. Every nation, every culture, every individual had contributed to the war effort. This unity had surprised the Caleth, who expected humans to fragment under pressure. Instead, humanity had become stronger when threatened. The parasites had miscalculated badly. As Earth grew larger on their screens, the surviving crews began to understand what they had accomplished. They had not just won a battle. They had proven that humanity belonged among the stars. The homecoming was bittersweet. 300 ships returned where 1,000 had departed. But those 300 carried the hopes of their fallen comrades and proof of human determination. Admiral Hong prepared his final report for the Global Defense Council. The immediate threat was over, but humanity now faced a larger challenge. They were no longer alone in a hostile galaxy. The Caleth had been just one parasite collective. There might be others scattered across the galaxy waiting to consume new civilizations. Earth needed to be ready for whatever came next. The returning fleet brought back technology that would revolutionize human civilization. Faster than light communication, improved weapon systems and energy sources beyond anything Earth science had imagined, but they also brought back knowledge of their own capabilities. When pushed to the edge of extinction, humanity had shown they could fight and win against impossible odds. Captain Yoon Ji-hai watched Earth approach through the bridge windows of her damaged cruiser. The blue and white planet had never looked more beautiful. Her crew cheered when they saw their home. The orbital stations around Earth had been expanded while the fleet was away. New shipyards were already under construction. The war had ended, but preparation for the next conflict had begun. Landing procedures took days as damaged ships were carefully guided to repair facilities. Some vessels were so badly damaged they would never fly again, but their crews had made it home. The parades and celebrations lasted. For weeks, every returning crew member was treated as a hero. Children who had watched their parents leave as explorers welcomed them back as warriors. But the veterans knew the truth about war. Victory always came with a price. Many good people had died in the darkness between stars. Their sacrifice had purchased Earth continued existence. Admiral Hong addressed the planet in his final speech as fleet commander. We learned that the universe is not empty, and we are not welcome. But we also learned that being unwelcome has never stopped humanity. The war against the Caleth Empire was over, but humanity's future among the stars had just begun. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and full of unknowns. But Earth children were ready for whatever came next. 1,000 ships had returned as 300, but they carried something more valuable than technology. They carried proof that when humanity was threatened, they became the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The stars no longer seemed cold and distant. They were humanity's destiny waiting to be claimed by those brave enough to reach for them. The long road home had ended, but the journey to the stars had just begun.